Hope everybody's doing okay. This is Slaves of Satan part 53. And while this is going to be on one of the shorter videos in the series, I do want to stress that this is the most important, one of the most important so far. This is a subject that I have not really dived into because, like I said, this is a building block style, so I've been starting from the past where this wasn't really talked about much, and the technological advancements was not there to do this. So, like I always do, straight to the point. This Genesis P-Orridge thing, and I'm gonna be completely straight up. I do not respect these people that are committing abominations against the Lord. That's mutilating their genitals and stuff like that. There is not going to be any respect in this video until somebody comes out of Babylon. I refuse to give them any respect. Alright. So here's the founder of Comms Transmissions, the lead vocalist of a band called Throbbing Gristle. And don't worry, the more sinister parts are always at the bottom, just like every time. But to give a little bit of context before I get to the explanation, this transformer was born a male, spent $200,000 to transition to a female, and then spent more money to do what she called the Pandrogyny project, to make herself look completely identical, well, very close to identical to her second wife. It's actually very, very creepy. And this is one of the main pushers and shakers of this trans movement. And I'm going to tell you the actual name of this trans movement, because like everything in this country, they've given you an exoteric meaning and an esoteric meaning. So which will and I would say 9 out of 10 times the esoteric meaning is the true meaning, not these trash meanings they give you on TV. In the occult arcane fraternities, they call this pan programming, and it's called that because pan is another name for Baphomet. And obviously, as you know, Baphomet's gender is pretty confusing to say the very least. Alright. Now she was the founding member of the Temple of Psychic Youth, which was a cult, a magical order, and a musician type group. She was highly involved in occultism, avant-garde performance work, sex work, then this is what inspired the music of Throbbing Gristle. Sex work, pornography, serial killers, eating disorders. Wonderful, right? Now, a long time ago, she was on Channel 4 News, did a very big hit piece on her years and years ago, where she was accused of touching children, which, while she was not convicted for this, it would not surprise me, because these very high up movers and shakers in the dark arts fraternities always seem to weasel their way out of any type of trouble. Hint, hint, Michael Aquino. Now, Genesis P-Orridge's third gender was inspired by Aleister Crowley, is what inspired her to do this. And just like almost every single person on this list of 53 people, other than people that was born before him, you can trace every single person back to him in some way. Every single one. That's something they have in common, and this thing about the lodge is something that they have in common too. And remember, when you see these people on TV changing genders, this is pretty much the prototype of it. C was the one who made what they call now androgyny seem normal. While they don't talk about the people who started these movements, these are the people that need the attention even more, because what they do is they'll show you kind of like a clean-cut figure of, one second. Alright, sorry. Because they'll give you like a clean-cut figure of who started these movements. Then after that, they'll kind of try to wash away the scoundrel who started it. And while they'll put it on the news and act like it's damn Caitlyn Jenner that started this stuff, it was not. It was Genesis P-Orridge. And yes, this stuff has been going on for a very, very long time. Like even in the Kybalion, by one of the Hermes Trismegistus books, it talks about gender as one of the Hermetic axioms. C was pretty much the first one to start mutilating herself. All right. But think of this disgust when you see all these people transitioning in Hollywood. Now, C created the cut-up technique. And what is the cut-up technique? I'll tell you. This is something that musicians do, writers of songs. They'll either do like transcendental meditation, yoga, mind-altering drugs, black magic, to put themselves in an altered state of consciousness. And then they'll just go take scissors, go around and start cutting up newspapers, magazines while they're in a trance, manuals, dictionaries, phone books, anything, and then they'll use the words to create a song. And this stuff would not fit if there's not a metaphysical satanic power behind it. Now, here's another big surprise. Sarcastically, an associate of Anton LaVey. And now we got, there's more. There's always more. So here's a member of the Process Church of Final Judgment. Now, the Process Church of Final Judgment was a organization that worshipped Lucifer, Satan, Jesus Christ, and Jehovah. I believe that's correct, because they viewed them as all separate beings. And this was a splinter group of Scientology founded by L. Ron Hubbard, who also was mixed up with Jack Parsons, who was the American leader of Crowley's cult. So it all, like I say, it all trickles back to the same monster. You might as well say that all these videos are about the same person in a different form. And because these people are out there, these people aren't dying. They're swapping bodies, trading souls, cloning, de-aging, making philosopher's stones, cloning themselves, using achrome. They aren't dying. And while I don't think this Genesis P-Orridge thing was what I refuse to call them, the elite. I don't think he was high enough up in the hierarchy to have that opportunity, but who knows. But before I get off this topic about this process search of final judgment, she was also that also means she was mixed up with Marilyn Manson in some way. And I brought this up on my video of Anton LaVey. That's almost an hour. That's like an hour and 28 minutes long, I think. No matter what, he never got questioned or arrested by authority, and I provided the reason for that. Now, the Temple of Psychic Youth was created to be the successor to the Orto Temple Orientis, mostly known as the OTO. Now, thankfully it wasn't, but you still have the disgusting OTO around. Now, like you see in the name Temple of Psychic Youth, chaos magic was what it was inspired by, which was pioneered by Austin Osman Spare, who was also a student of Crowley's. Big surprise. Huh. Now, she taught sex magic and bloodletting. And bloodletting is when for different reasons, like if you're trying to get an infection out of you, or if you're trying to get a high, then you'll cut yourself and just let blood just start coming out. Back when I was a teenager, I guess I lived during the prime age of cutting, and apparently it is a very addictive thing because it releases some type of endorphins when you do it. But they also do it for spiritual reasons. And like I said, $200,000 worth of surgery plus. Now, she also was an early pioneer of this audio-visual magic, which is when you watch a video, combining it with the audio can alter the consciousness. And she was absolutely right. Like, if you watch these music videos and just completely turn off discernment or your pineal gland, you can get completely engulfed by this stuff. They don't need to lock you in an underground tunnel and cut open your brain to MK Ultra people anymore. While Monarch is a successor, they don't need to do any of that stuff anymore to get people in a trance. Now she taught Hindu mythology, and mythology is history. She taught sigils, Santeria, which is like a Spanish, kind of like a voodoo form of Catholicism. And while there's more dangerous stuff out there, it is something very bad to get caught up into. And the Catholic Church is a very easy place to accidentally get involved with Satanism and the dark arts, because if you walk into an occult temple, a dark art temple, and walk into a Catholic church, you'll notice the same stuff. statues slash idols, all this candles like they have in the dark arts temples, sacred geometry to alter the state of consciousness and the mind. Fragrance burning. That's why they have the Gnostic Mass, because it's a complete inversion of the Catholic Mass, and you have to be a Catholic priest to be a satanic priest. And if you don't believe me, I would encourage you to look into these medieval documents. Now, something that we see here that pretty much all of them have something into is this Gnosticism thing. And that's growing worse and worse by the day. And why do people like it? I'll tell you why it's popular. Because Gnosticism gives you the same promise that Bible-based Christianity does, but with it not just a free pass to sin. It gives you no reason not to sin, and promises the exact of something very similar. Now, he started a term called a culture, which he tried to pretty much fuse culture into the dark art occult, which evolved today into pop culture. And keep in mind that culture is based off the word cult. Now, like I said, in these societies, they don't call it transgender. They call it pan-programming, and here it is right here. The name of her project, Pandrogyny Project. Now, that is when she spent this hundreds of thousands of dollars to make herself look close to identical to her second wife. And it's very, very weird and disturbing. And she channeled a over 600-page book called the Psychic Bible, which was supposed to be I guess not supposed to be, which claims to be an expansion on the teachings of Aleister Crowley. And she also taught this term called merging selves, which is where two people can possibly merge into the same soul in a dark art, metaphysical, ritualistic setting. And I would say that from my research, specifically when you get into like Haitian voodoo, it's at least not off the scale of possibility. My research has shown that it probably has been done. And she taught this transcending duality type of thing. And by duality, she meant man and woman. And transcending duality means becoming a third gender. That's why you have Boaz and Josh and Yakin, or Josine, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it. Then you have a secret third pillar, which combines the masculine and the feminine, which is what he's talking about with these transcending duality, which is taught by the majority of these very high level black magicians. They believe once they reach a certain level in their occult studies, in their dark arts walk of life, that they've ascended masculine, ascended feminine, and they've become a god. And this is what was taught back in ancient Egypt. The gods in ancient Egypt were male, like from the front side, and then the back side, they were female. And that's why I tell people we're still dealing with the exact same monsters from Egypt. I would advise you to take a real good look at some of those ancient Egypt hieroglyphics, and eventually you will be compelled to believe the same thing that I do, that this is the same group of people still oppressing humanity on to this day. And while these aren't like a preachy type of session, because that's honestly not my forte or what I'm called to do. As much as I love the Bible, I don't feel called to be preachy. But let's just see what the Lord thinks of these people that cross-dress. Deuteronomy 22. Oh, sorry, I was at 25. Deuteronomy 22, verse 5. A woman shall not wear anything that pertains to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all who do so are an abomination to the Lord your God. And if he felt that way just about cross-dressing, think about how he feels about cutting up your genitals and becoming like Genesis P-Orridge. Every time you see some type of trans person online, on a magazine, on social media, in Hollywood, that talks about transitioning, I want you to go back to this video, or just remember this woman in your head. This is where it comes from. Do you really think that people need to be taking advice from this monster?